Hi guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. And before the fashionistas start moaning about my hair, because obviously everything's up for critique, I got caught in the rain real bad and I couldn't bother to have another shower before making the video, so it's all a bit wild. But never mind. The reason for the video today, other than the fact I'm a lunatic, is I thought we would have a little bit of a catch up about the WD40 server project. There have been some videos in the past, and I'll make a little link pop up and I'll start you a playlist that you can go back and have a look. I will give you an update in this video real quick, but just kind of, I was building a 40 terabyte server with 10 Western Digital 4 terabyte Reds, and we've got a mental 12 gigabyte a second RAID card in there, which I then had a custom bracket made and then fitted a passive graphics card heatsink to, so that it was all really nice and quiet. And the case is a custom modded Fractal R5 that I did, so that it fits in all the 10 hard drives and it's all properly cooled, and it was a bit of a mission. But what I'll do is I'll walk you around it. But there's been some updates and some advancements in what's going on, and there has been a humongous quiet period. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you a quick update on the server, what it is, what I've done, what it was, that type of stuff, and then we'll break in and I'll give you the news about the new stuff. And there's a few rather large boxes of stuff that are going to appear on the desk afterwards. But 60 terabyte, anyone? Okay, so it does look like it's in a bit of a state, but that's just because there's a lot of cables all resting in the bottom, because this has just been it got mothballed for a bit while we were trying to sort a few problems out. So the spec that it was a Z97 Deluxe, and then we had a, if I read on it, it's a 4130T, which is the low power i3, because obviously it's a home server. Don't need a great deal of power. If anything, the i3's a bit overkill for the needs on this, but it's low power, low temperature, so it was all good. We did have a set of red HyperX in here as well, but they ended up getting pulled out to go to shows where this wasn't really being used. Power supply in the bottom is a 650 watt LEDX gold, and then the cables that are in the bottom and all lovely individually braided are actually custom braided Pexon cables. He did an epic job on that for me, because you can't buy any off-the-shelf stuff for the LEDX, and Pexon turned these around for me in the lovely red and white colouring. So we've got that. The RAID card, it's 81605ZQ Adaptec, and I do have the battery power for it as well. Essentially, it's 16 port internal, 12 gigabits a second per port. It's only an itty bitty little one, but because RAID cards can get quite hot, I decided to update the cooling on it, and there is a 3mm copper plate which is exactly the same size as the heatsink would have been. And then what I did is I thermally bonded with like a thermal epoxy this Accelero S1 Plus from Arctic Cooling to it. Now we do have a little bridge to keep it upright, because the mount for the RAID card is only 2 screws, and it can move around a little bit on it. It still makes good contact, but it was just the fact that I wanted to make sure that it was perfectly level. But the temps are amazing. The idle temperatures have dropped by like 20 degrees, and it hardly gets warm at all now. Because pretty much this thing would just sit at 65 degrees all the time now, and it's struggling to hit 40 at the moment. So we've got the passive, so any kind of normal ambient air can get in there and cool it, but we've also got the the fact that it can just radiate out. But where there's so much surface area on this compared to it was just a little heatsink before, it's much better. Now, the case itself is a Fractal R5. But generally with a Fractal R5 you would have a 5 bay hard drive bay bolted in the floor, and then that could be removed. Then you would have another 3 bay which you could have up here, which could be removed. Or is it 2 bay? I can't remember. And then you would have a 2 optical bays at the top. Well, I wanted to have hard drives all the way up the front, and I wanted them all to be actively cooled as well. So what I did is I removed everything, then again, this is in previous videos, but the mounts for the hard drive fans at the front is actually taken from 2 cases. And if I was to do this, it's taken from 2 cases. So you can see that we've got the 1, 2, well there is another one there as well, because that goes right the way up. But like I said, they're standard fractal mounts. And if we were to take it all apart, or I was to magically put a picture up to show you, you can see that I wanted it to look as stock as possible. This little mount at the top, because this shouldn't be here, this should be optical bay covers. This bit of dust filtering is actually the top of another one of these, because I had 2 cases and I literally used one for parts and then, yeah, just to strip parts from. So this bit up here is actually another one of those which I've cut and mounted inside. It's not the tidiest of things at the moment. I need to do some very filing at the top, but if you were to get a screwdriver in there, it does actually clip into place. And the other thing that I did is where this clips in at the front here, all of this plastic around here for it to clip into, I took off of the other case and is bonded in at the top here. And it was basically so that I did have a proper mount. Now, like I said, it does still need some fine tweaking because obviously, like I said, it's still a work in progress, but the mount is there so that when it does get pushed in, it snaps into place. So it does mean that the top fan still has dust filtering in exactly the same way that the bottom one does, and it was just because I wanted it to look like it could have been a fractal design. If I really wanted to get picky with it now, I'd probably go in as far as to say I could fill these edges where the clips for the optical bays would have gone. But I do still need to make this easier to be able to remove by hand for cleaning. And all I need to do is take a little bit more plastic out the top, and that's so that I can get it in and out really easily. At the moment it is a bit of a squeeze and you have to drag it past the plastic, but if I take a little bit of material out the top, I should be able to slide it out really easily. But again, this is all just playing, because once it's closed up you're never going to see it, and let's face it, once it's like that, and it's not going to be very often that I'm going to need to get in there and clean anyways. But that's all there like that. Like I said, you can see that we've got the second lot of fans. Technically you should have added 120 or 2 120s or 2 140s in the front, but it just stopped here. But it now goes right the way to the top. The other small things that I've done are, these are now all USB 3. I stripped the cables out of the second case, so I've now got 2 USB 3s in here. So these are all USB 3s. I've totally removed the audio cables. What I was probably going to do is put some button-headed stainless steel Allen bolts or something in there just to cover up the holes, but you know, it's not a particularly big thing. Now I've left the top open at the moment. We do have 2 fans in here. This one is going to be getting closed up, but that's pretty much it for the things that I've done to the case. Don't forget, if you are interested in any more depth, because I did do quite a lot of videos on it, you can click the link that I showed you before, and I'll put a link underneath as well, so that you can go and have a look at the build log videos in the playlist. Back with the crazy hair then, and the next bit. So you've seen what it was, and this is what it's going to turn into. For whatever reason, we did have a few problems with the drives stroke RAID card. Don't know what it was, couldn't really get to the bottom of it. And it was just a really weird problem where the drive speed seemed to be all over the place. Western Digital have been absolutely amazing about it. Been working with Western Digital and Adaptec on it, and long story short, those hard drives there are 6 terabyte Western Digital Reds, and there's 11 of them there. I need 10. I always purposely get an extra one when you buy so many at once, because you never know whether you may get problems. The courier pretty much threw them at my door anyway, so it's, you know what I mean, you've got lots of little variables. But if they're all alright, then I have a spare one if I was to ever get any problems further down the line. To be honest with you, with so many and the fact they're now massive, I'm probably going to buy another one anyway. But essentially, we've got the 4s there. Western Digital have sent me the reds. So WD40 is either going to need to be called WD60, and then the name's not really going to make a lot of sense. So what the forum members have said is maybe WD40 plus 50% free. Could be something kind of funky for the build logs and the logos and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I don't mind. But I've been waiting around so long to get the stuff sorted and diagnosed, and I can't just go, you know, like for argument's sake, when you guys come home from work and you go, oh yeah, I get to go and have a fiddle around with stuff now. So your missus is cooking tea and you're in your man room and you're playing around with your bits. But the problem is I'm the missus cooking the tea, and when I've been working with the hardware all day, normally when I finish work, I like to go and park my ass in front of the TV, or like go and meet friends or go walking with my sister or something. So trying to find the time to actually get it done without it feeling like work has been horrific. But we're getting to that point now, which is why we're here. So I'm going to go through all of the drives, and we're going to do a rebuild as well. So the old i3 is coming out, and obviously now we have Skylake i3. So, and you'll see the review shortly, I got a 6300T, which is a 35 watt. I believe it's 2.9 gigahertz one, but I'm worried that I might be wrong now. It might actually be 3.7. I really can't remember. But anyway, I've got the 6300T, which is the low power one, which is absolutely spot on where I want it. Obviously, for a storage server, probably the most strenuous thing it's going to have to do is transcode for Plex. So it really doesn't need to be an i7 all singing and dancing, because it's not 9 times out of 10 it's going to sit there at idle with the power saving options all running and sit there and basically do nothing. So obviously i3 means I need a new board, and as we had the Deluxe before, the Z97 Asus Deluxe, it would be rude not to put the Z170 Deluxe in this one. So the white goodness is coming to the server, and I'm very happy about that. But also, just recently, Superflower have released a new batch of power supplies. Before, the gold ones were the good ones, and the small wattage one, which is what I was running, which was 650, was a gold. But now you can get a 550 watt platinum, and they've brought a lot of platinum power supplies out as well. I'll put some links underneath so you can go and have a look at them at Overclockers. But I do have a 550 watt platinum Superflower power supply, and all of the old cables will fit straight into this, so it's literally just a click out, clip in, straight swap. So essentially I've got slightly lower output, but obviously I'm not going to need an awful lot of it, because if this thing pulls 200 watts I'll be amazed. I think with it all running it's going to be sub 100 watts. So the lower the wattage I can get, the closer I'm going to get to the premium efficiency, which is normally around 50%. But like I said, this thing at absolute maxi chat's not going to be pulling that. But anyway, so I've now got platinum efficiency. So I've gone, you know, 92% plus, up from what, 80 something, 89 wasn't the goal? I can never remember. But anyway, so we've got more efficiency. We've got the newer LeadX Platinum power supply going in there. It's still white as well, so it's still going to fit in. All the connectors still light up. It's still going to look sexy. You actually wouldn't notice a difference once I've swapped it round. But in the long run, why wouldn't I have gone for a better rated power supply when it was on the table being offered? Cooling wise, I'm still going to use the face down Noctua. If any of you were at EGX, this is the cooler I was showing you how to mount at EGX. I literally ripped it out of this and took it with me. So it doesn't actually look too battle scarred. I think you're all really kind to me on this front. Anyway, so this is going back in this, and I've got the new Fractal fans throughout the case. We've got 3 in the front, 2 in the top, 1 in the back. The one in the back is actually an intake as well, but I've got a dust filter mounted on the back, and then we've got this one. This one's kind of nice because it blows air down at the board, and although things aren't going to be getting hot, any little bit of airflow that we can get around components is going to be great. And obviously we've got the massive passive cooler on the RAID card anyway, so that's not going to be too worried about heat. So this is what's going to be happening. Things for me to do now is I need to get all of the 4TB hard drives out. I need to one by one test every single one of the 6TB as it goes in and do multiple tests on it to make sure everything's okay. And then after that point, once we know all of the hard drives are okay, we're going to start building the arrays. And the arrays take a long time. With the 4 terabyte ones, I was doing it overnight. Now we're going up to 5, because what I'll be doing, before you ask, is I'm going to have 2 banks of drives, and then what I'll do is they'll both be RAID 6, so there'll be 5 drives in each with RAID 6. So I technically lose 2 drives out of each for parity. So layman's terms, I'll have 3 drives worth of storage. So that's roughly, give or take, I know it's all being rounded up, but 18 terabytes per set of RAID 6. But what that does mean with running RAID 6 is I can have 2 drives die and replace them with blanks, and then, you know, if everything works as it should do, all the data will get rebuilt. So it's just a security thing. I know a lot of people keep saying about different means of doing the RAID and the like, but my old storage server within the Adaptec, and that's actually got how many's it got? 8, I think. 8? No, 5. Sorry. It's got 5 2 terabyte Western Digital greens in there. That's never skipped a beat, even though there were greens as well. So me going up to this is a huge step forward. We've got the red, so we should have the better security with running in the RAID. We've got an immense amount more storage, that's the word I'm looking for. The other thing going forward is the reviewers are going to be able to use this as cloud sharing and cloud storage as well. So we'll all have a central point that we can dump all of our screenshots from our reviews and our graphs and the like, so that you've essentially, the reviewers are going to have an off-site backup point. So if they were, for argument's sake, a solid state drive or something was to go down in one of the test rigs, then everything will be backed up here. So there are some things that we're thinking about going forward. Luckily my internet's quite good. We've got a 20 megabyte up at the moment, but I'm hoping to get dual lines, and it will be 2 times 25, because I'll be upgrading to a 25 meg up, getting a second line fitted as well, so I should have around 50 meg up. That's not what the website runs off of, that's just the home server and the office Tinterwebs. But anyway, so this is my server, this is my home server, and yes, this is what we're going to be doing. So essentially it's not just an office boring thing, it's still going to be pretty. It's got a custom case, we've got custom cooling on the RAID card. It's basically almost like a gaming rig kind of project theme to it, but we've just got an immense amount of storage and a RAID card in there rather than a graphics card. So I'm not going to bore you with any more. I am still alive. I will be making lots more videos for you now as well, because things are starting to calm down. But right at the end, what I would like to say is 21st of the 10th is obviously Back to the Future Day. Hats off to them all. And the other thing that the 21st of October is, and it would have been my mum's birthday. So I would like to say, wherever you are up there, mother dearest, happy birthday. I will be having some red wine and some steak in your honour and name this evening. So happy birthday, SJL. And if anyone's ever looked on the main channel with the YouTube page, and you've always wondered why it says SJL, this is all for you. Well, SJL was my mum, and that's why the business is called Time to Live as well. But anyway, enough of that. Happy Back to the Future Day to you all. This is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. Out.